Welcome back everybody, Matthew here. This is a target pull session of mine. Been trying to go through a few targets I worked a while ago. This one is of the Dyatlov Pass incident in Russia, I believe in 1950 something. I don't know when. Don't know much about it. I've viewed this hiker sort of missing person case. So I'll take you through what my subconscious saw there, or perceived. Yeah, I worked two separate sessions on this, with a little bit of time in between, about a week I think. Yeah, if we go into the first one, I sketched this person projecting a consciousness, right? A projecting person, like the idea of emanations coming from the head, like swirling emanations. I wrote down maybe a psychic individual. That's the idea I was getting. There's someone with the ability to project their consciousness at ease. That's what I was getting here. That was just the first part. Yeah, this part just produced this sketch. Didn't know what I was drawing. I was getting this of like the idea of a sword in the stone, like an old relic. I drew these like looks like rocks around. I didn't know what the middle part was. Long lasting, is that right? Long lasting meaning, almost ritualistic. So again, this idea of this ritual at play. A form of staff and chalice are down. Yeah, and it's a bit strange, but that's what I was getting at this point. Yeah, sketch. I don't know what this is. An object possibly. And that's a little glimpse on Blackboard. I just saw this, and that was this part. I'll go on to the next. I sketched this person in this. All I can say, it was like a flaring gown. I wrote down multi-layered protection ribbon head. So it's like layers over like a halo. Like layers and layers. It reminded me of like Elizabethan style. I know it sounds daft. Man, was that right? Man in head. Bubble, like a bubble. I don't know, it's hard to, this is what my subconscious perceived. Gown. So this person with a possible headdress. And a big gown. Almost like Queen Elizabeth. It's reminding me of that. That's what, like, it came as an AOL. And lower down another person, or I couldn't like draw the faces early on. That's just all I got at this point. Right, another look on Blackboard. Saw this room. I AOL'd. No, I didn't. Throne room. I had this like ornate sculptures on the side, and I was on a galley, so it's possible food related. On the left side, I just like this. I drew this thing. I got an idea of like a console, like high technology. Like there was this console at the back that did something. It wasn't primitive. It was advanced. I had this idea of this like not touch screen, but this advanced console with a purpose in this sort of throne room setting related to food, and that's all I was getting at this point. Drew another sketch. Get to it now. It's just a small one. I sketched this thing. I didn't know what it was. AOL wizard like. Session 2, they're short sessions. Going back into this, I AOL'd a gin, I think a djinn is some form of like creature or something, in like a mythical creature. I'm not too sure. I've heard the name. Sketch these couple of little sketches. The idea of like these legs, like widespread legs. Didn't really know. I wrote down AOL noughts and crosses, so I didn't really know I was drawing with this. I don't know. I had the idea of energy coming off this, like a mesh, and that was this first part of the second session. Right, moving on. I had this perception of this, like these cells. I wrote down fluffy cells. I had AOL fluffy cells. So it's like irregular, sort of like fluffy cells are important. Sketch this thing in the middle, didn't know what it was. It looked like barriers left and right. Bottom, I was getting this like overwhelming perception of this like object shooting out, almost like an engine shooting out something out the back, down towards the ground. I sketched this drawing and shoots out, and that was after this part of the target. Right, this part, I wrote down cold, isolated. I had this idea of a cloaked figure, and he was armed. This like hooded, cloaked person was carrying a weapon. I had this AOL of Antarctica. Lower down, sketched a perception of a UFO. And that was it really for this. This isolated, cold place with this cloaked figure who's armed. And that was that for this. Right, another look on Blackboard here. I had this like, all I saw was this like controlled object, well not slowly, but coming down in a controlled manner. I wrote down slowly. I saw this twice, the same thing, slowly falling down. I wrote, and that was that for this perception. Again with the next part, I had this idea of intense fire thrust coming from the bottom of this object, and a bit of a sketch on this land, possibly linked to the sketch before of this thing I saw falling down, coming down slowly. Yeah, and that was it. Another part of this target, I moved on to sketch this idea of this AOL cave opening. There's this overhang of rock with an opening leading to a cave, and I wrote down a direction, an arrow. This is an opening, an important opening related to this target. So there's an overhang and a cave opening, and that was that. Right, here's where it gets a bit strange again. My sessions mostly do. I sketched this thing. I kept on getting these like cloaked figures, right? They would not let me see their face. I had to really push for this. I was scared of change. The nasty things these are. The idea that these are not nice. You don't want to play around with this. And they know it all, or they think they know it all. They're not nice. There's a not nice agenda associated with this. They're quite able and psychic. These are not pushovers. They try to be vacant and evade me. Like I had a bit of a sketch on the left. This next part, I'm not sure if it's the same as the cloak figures. This fusion power. This thing looked weird. Sketch. Well, a star in your hand. Couldn't really get a good perception of it. High technology, high energy. Yeah, it's a strange. Turned out to be a strange target. This aspect relating to this part of the target. Creation of matter, question mark. Quite impressive. And I wrote down AOL head. This idea of this head with this big jaw and these eyes are circled as well. I wrote down can interact with everything. It can impose thoughts to create reality. So the idea of this psychic functioning is prevalent. And that was that for this. I know it's very strange, none of it makes much sense, but it's just what came up. yeah, this part, moving on. Ural Tyrant. I think that means like tyrant in French. Or it could be the name of this being in this target. A different dimensional being I wrote down. I sketched this perception. I had an AOL taste of blackcurrant squash. I just really weird taste. Like a flashback to my childhood. And I wrote down, can imprint on your psyche, gift, mould and shape individuals. I don't know what that means. Whether these things can psychically change you, or imprint, or have the ability to manipulate, or something along those lines. Not sure. It's just strange. But the AOL Tyrant, whether that's a race or these things are tyrants, I don't know. But that was that for this part. Right, my last sketch of this target, I'm getting this idea of this place with a vortex. This creates a vortex transport connection, I wrote down, related to this target. Didn't really make sense. There's a few weird parts to this target in my session. It may be completely wrong. It's just what my subconscious made of it all. Hopefully it makes sense to some people who are interested. Hopefully you enjoyed this. It's just another target pool session of mine. So hopefully see you soon. Peace. Matthew out.